Good afternoon, John Donovan,
Hey, Marty Keller.
and welcome all those who are joining us on this Intentional Living podcast. Uh, Marty Keller here in Sacramento, and John, I see you're not in your normal place. You're still, I
Yeah,
think, Portland, right?
I'm in Portland, Oregon with my
Portland,
daughter.
Oregon.
She turned 50 today.
Oh my.
Oh my God.
Did you ever think you'd live long enough to have kids half a
Yeah,
century old?
not 50 years old. Yeah, it's like, yeah, sometimes I still treat them like they're 3, 4, 5. and they let me know though, Dad,
Yeah,
huh? Uh, you're done. You don't need to do that anymore. Okay.
nice,
Okay. Okay.
nice. Well, welcome to the Intentional Living podcast. In this podcast, we work on identifying and breaking patterns of behavior that we say we don't want and yet continue to persist in
Mm-hmm.
spite of our conscious mind saying don't do that. Or sometimes it's the other way around. Sometimes our mind goes, I need to be doing that, I want to do that, and our body goes, no, I'm not going to, and we don't do it. So we often call this demystifying behavior. John, you developed a process that we call the intentional living practice, which has a practice within it called the accountability tree.
Mm-hmm.
And last week we were talking about um, why we do this work, because, and we said, it's because we can create results. We can create a life that is beyond our wildest imaginations.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly when we started out, all we really wanted was relief. We just wanted relief from suffering. Sometimes the suffering was intense psychological suffering, deep
Mm-hmm.
anxiety, deep stress, inability to sleep at night. Sometimes it was dealing with addiction, finding ourselves drinking to excess. Maybe we've been stopped, and got a DUI. It can be any number of things, any number of behaviors that our minds go, no, don't do that. And we feel addicted to it and we do it anyway.
One of the things I found myself in as you were speaking, and looking at the news today, you see a lot of like the shootings and stuff. I actually developed animosity, and I want to go as far as to say hate for certain groups of people, somebody, whether it was a social status or resentment, what I now know to be resentment, bitterness, contempt, through my perception that I did everything right. I did everything according to the Ten Commandments, and if I didn't, I went to confession. So I was like, and how did they get what they must have? They must be cheating. I don't know, but this I was well. What I've discovered is based on my childhood trauma, I learned not to like myself, and the way I say that is hate. I hate myself. Instead of owning that, I projected that out onto people. And it could have been an individual, it could have been a group of people, it could have been in my relationship life. It happened to be specific people that I would project that out on. And it never, that's the anxiety, the um, consternation that I found myself in is trying, how do I fix this? How do I fix them? Or how do I fix me? And that's the dead end, doing the same thing over and over and over. What I was doing over and over and over was thinking I had to fix myself instead of, in this accountability, intentional living, to accept myself. That was a foreign object. And in fact, if I even heard myself think that, I'm thinking, okay, no, I got to do better. I always got to do better. There's something wrong with me. I got to try hard. I got to work hard. And that created more resentment, bitterness, contempt, self hate, self resent, which I then projected out onto the people around me. Wow.
Well, and the when we talk about results, what we're learning to do, what I'm learning to do here is to almost take that and flip it on its head,
Exactly.
so that I have learned to love myself, which is to accept myself just the way I am.
Mm-hmm.
And then I project that outwards. So
Mhm.
I learned to accept other people just the way they are.
Yeah, yeah. The good news is the projection never stopped.
Right.
Um, and the also good news is that I now see myself in a loving way or an accepting way, or see accept my peculiarities and my foibles as being unique to me. And yeah, I remember looking in the mirror and going, I like who I become. It's like, it startled me. It's like, oh my God, it works. Oh my God, look at that. I just like in
Stop the
my own
pressing.
image. Yeah, it was like, oh crap. So yeah.
Well, last week, that's a good place to pick up where we left off last week. And you were sharing with us something a spiritual teacher taught you about um, who am I, where am I, what am I,
What
and
do I want?
what do I want, right? And so
Yeah, yeah.
we were at who am I when
Okay.
we ended
I'm
last
gonna,
week's podcast.
I'm gonna bring back up the board here. Okay.
Okay.
Um, in my family of origin dysfunction, childhood trauma, I had no sense of identity other than what other people told me I was. And that was in their attempts to raise me right to be a good person. I had to dismiss parts of myself to be that good person. And so I thought I created an image of who I was instead of the essence of who I was. Um, and part of this process in this body of work, we talk about identifying the essence of who we are using essence words. I did an exercise in one of those workshops I talked about where they had 33 essence words on the board: loving, trusting, worthy, spiritual. And we had to pick three and then say out loud, I am, in those three words. My three words were gentle, loving, empowering. And we had to say them until the people we were saying them to believed that we believed it. And that took a while. I'm a gentle, loving, empowering man. Well, no, I'm not getting it. You really mean that, John? I'm a gentle, loving, empowering man. And then it just, after a while, I said it one time. They go, "Yep, yes, you are. There you go. You got it." So that's the who I am. It's not who I think I am. It's who I am. Who I think I am came from my childhood about all of the messages I got from my guardians, not just my parents, my school teachers, peers, preteens, teens. What a mess. So I developed this image, which wasn't who I was. So that falls into the who am I. The where am I was something I wanted to avoid because I didn't want to be found out. It's like I used to say, well, if you really, somebody said, well, I like you, John, you're pretty cool. Well, no, if you really knew me, you wouldn't like me. And that was all the stuff I was holding on myself. And then what I want, I remember being asked that, what do I want? And I said, what do you mean, what do I want? She didn't even compute. It's like, what do I need? What I should do? What I have to do? I'll tell you that all day long. What do I want? Oh, I want peace of mind. Uh, and I could say that and not be accused of being selfish or self-centered or, oh, it's all about you. No, I get to ask for something that I don't have, that I can recognize that I want. I get to ask for that. So who am I? Where am I? What do I want? And we left off last week with the where I'm at as a starting point to finding out who I am and what I want. And that's the healing in the accountability process. This truth statement right here, my truth is the results of my life up until this moment. Where do I find myself? Truthfully, vulnerably, say the truth. Not just inside, but with other people listening. It's like we did a feedback process where one of the persons in the group stood up in front of the rest of the people, and we were instructed to tell that person what we saw in that person that stood in that person's way of having a relationship with somebody else, and things like codependency, arrogant, entitled, and anything that somebody said that we had issue with was something we held on ourselves. Or I don't want to be that. It's like, I don't want to lie to the person I say I love, say the woman in my life. I want to show her that not all men are assholes. Okay. So she asked me a question, and my truth is, I don't want to say that because that'll hurt her feelings. So I lie to her. So I'm actually doing what I say I don't want to do because I'm afraid of hurting her feelings. It's like, oh my God. So this accountability process addresses the unresolved trauma that led to the results: confusion, not knowing who I am, not being able to just simply say where I find myself, is codependent, addicted, or in some type of avoidant behavior. And again, what I mean by avoidant behavior is rageaholic, workaholic, and the alcoholic was an avoidant behavior too. What was I avoiding? Me, the truth of me. I didn't want to say it. So in this practice, I say that truth. And like when I've used the example of I'm mean. Now, that's the truth, the results of where I find myself. Is that the truth about myself? Essence, no. That was a behavior for survival. I had to survive my childhood by not being me, so I became something else, and that became my identity. And I had to hold on to that and not be me. And that's the codependency. I don't want to hurt somebody else's feelings. But I tell them I didn't like what just happened, and so well, it's okay. I can live with it. No, that hurt, or that was rude, or I want to do something different. Something other than, oh, it's okay. Yeah, I'm all right. No, I'm not all right. So where I'm at, that truth is, in my experience, uncovering a lot of lies that I believed that led me to that truth. It was codependency, addiction, or avoidant behavior. One of them is violent behavior, or being mean, sarcastic, flippant, humorous when something isn't really funny. How do you go to humor? To avoid what? Feeling mean, because that was unacceptable as a child. So I complied. I survived my childhood. The reality of the child, I'm not enough, there's something wrong with me, I'm a burden, became the belief of the adult. So when I say where I'm at, I'm uncovering the hidden belief. Like, another thing we talked about is just saying, like, a feeling or a sense, like inadequate. I feel inadequate. Blame free, judgment free. Or I feel unworthy. I don't feel worthy of that. Oh, of course I don't. Nice deep breath. And in that, see, when I say the truth, I take the breath, that emotion happens. That truth has encoded in it the message I got to make that lie true to the little boy. It's true. I'm not enough. I felt that, and that feeling, sometimes trying to name it is like, it's a constellation of a lot of things that happen. The subconscious processes 4 million bits of information per second. So the myriad of things that led to the belief I'm not enough, I feel. And it's a feeling tone frequency. It's like a relief. And then in that high energy emotion, I create an intent specific to that truth that I now want to go to. What do I want? I intend to be kind. Yes. Now, in the first time I said that, did I not be kind? No. The imprint that led to the meanness from my childhood is like we're, people use the analogy that we're a ball of clay and that we get an impression of something, and that impression holds a mold, and then the universe fills that mold up with material. It actually manifests. So the truth I was told as a child: don't be don't be self-centered, don't be selfish. Think about other people. You're not the only person on the planet. Became my truth because that's what was impressed in there. So I'm owning the impression. Yeah, that was true. And there's no actual thought in there. There's space in there. That's why I call it a sloughing, a relief. Well, I got it written down right here. Self-validation. I validated whatever happened back there. I don't know. But it was, yes, that happened. Oh, now I intend to be kind. That is another impression on this subconscious. See, our subconscious always says yes. I don't care what we tell it. It says yes. When I was a child, you're not enough was told to me. I impressed that, and I believed that, and I manifested that. Now I'm saying, within that feeling tone, I intend to be kind. Impression that figures out a way to manifest in my life the experience of kindness. Now, it happened when I owned the truth. I mean, blame-free, judgment-free. I was kind to myself by simply taking a breath and feeling that, and then creating intent to be kind. We might need another break. I need to talk to the people in the room. Or shut.
So what I think I'm hearing you say, check me if I got this right. That there is a process within all of us that this is going to back to the thing you're talking about, the clay. There's a process within all of us that either resides in our subconscious or our conscious mind that produces results.
Yes.
And that the original production or the results that we get from our original encounter with this process as little kids from 0 to 7,
right,
that there were things that we started to react to, create defense mechanisms against, and end up with thoughts about later on, after we started thinking, age 4, 5, 6, 7, that led to the results. I'm not enough.
right.
Like the result, or the example you were given. I stay in safe jobs. I don't make a lot of money, but I'm safe. That kind of, that's a result.
Yeah.
According to the way you're talking about this. When I do the accountability practice, and I essentially, like like Toto and the Wizard of Oz, I pull the curtain back and I get to see what's actually going on. I get to say, I don't think I deserve to live well. I think I'm a piece of shit.
Right, there you go. Yes.
Or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That in that sloughing off consolation of feelings that occurs is, it's a liberation.
Yes.
So that now I can implant new beliefs that can create new results.
Yes.
I intend to be kind. I intend to enjoy my life. I intend to feel safe. I intend to experience peace, whatever it is.
Yes.
And now I get to say, I get to now have a conscious say, whereas before it was my subconscious that was saying that my conscious mind was completely unaware of.
Right. Yep.
And like we said at the beginning of the podcast, my friends, this is the mechanism by which we have behaviors that our mind goes, why am I doing that? And we keep doing it anyway.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I right now, after 37 years of recovery in the 12-step program, 27 years of doing the accountability tree process, am manifesting from my subconscious. I'm no different than the beginning.
Right.
We're all manifesting from our subconscious. I am now able to see things that are manifesting from me from the intents that I created yesterday, just like as a 45-year-old man, immature, realizing I had the emotional maturity of a 5-year-old, I was manifesting from that place because I hadn't developed. Okay.
Right.
I intend to mature. I remember saying that to I intend to mature.
Hmm.
And my thought was, oh, and we're going to have to do it in public. It was like, this is going to be embarrassing. But that thought, we're going to do it in public and it's going to be embarrassing. It wasn't a no. It was, I was moving towards it. And I remember the first intimate thing I said to a woman, first intimate thing I said to a woman was, I don't know how to do intimate relationships. It was like mind blowing. It was like, oh, that's what they're talking about. Just what's happening in the moment. That was vulnerable. That was intimate. Oh my God, I had that all backwards. I thought being a tough guy and coming up with the answers and fixing things and being in control was the way to keep a woman. It's like, oh my God, no. Oh, tell the truth in the oh. What I remember saying it, thinking it first, and then saying it out loud to this one woman, and she goes, she responded in a loving. I was like, what? Oh my God, this is like backwards. I had it backwards my whole life. So,
I had a similar experience. I know I've shared this on the podcast before, but it's the first time I remember having that kind of experience was with my father. In my early 30s, I had moved to
yeah.
California, and my dad, whom I didn't like, I didn't trust him. My experience with him was he could be charming and fun and wonderful and warm one minute and cold and distant and mean another minute. So
Yeah.
I just kept my distance. And we would talk on the phone. I grew up in Michigan, and he would always end the conversation, "I love you, son." And I would get this anger and in my gut. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
so finally one day I couldn't stand anymore. I said, "Dad, I don't believe you." Kind of like you
Wow.
saying, it's kind of like you saying, "I don't know how to do intimate relations." I said, "Dad, I don't believe you." And my father said, "I'm glad you told me that." And then there was intimacy
That was it. Yeah, it was
right there.
crazy.
And I don't know which one of us was more blown away.
Right. Yeah. Let me, very good. Both those examples is what I experience mostly in my life today. Genuineness, authenticity, truth, um, um, vulnerability. And I got this, I want to say I was graced with being able to put this in a body of work that is recognizable and repeatable. Because I want to share this with as many people as possible in the shortest amount of time. Because the relief that I found in this simply stating the truth of where I found myself blame free, judgment free is I don't have the words to describe the difference that it has made in my life and where I've come to be in my life. Um, yeah.
Well, and it's not, it starts off as relief, but it turns into something else. And this is the line that we started out with from the Adult Children of Alcoholics Promises last week. That we will experience, what's the phrase?
You will come to a life you never knew
Right,
possible.
right. So that
Yeah.
never knew possible part is, I think, what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it starts off with that relief, and the relief comes from the ability to just tell the truth about what's going on with me without blame.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said last week, that's an experience of unconditional love.
Yes.
We don't necessarily call it that, because that's when we're doing the work in a group setting. We're not necessarily aiming for that, but that is a result.
Yeah.
And we're talking about results this week and last week. And I want to just emphasize that while it's not a one and done for the results of the life I want to be living,
Correct.
it's where it starts.
It's where it starts.
And
Yeah.
every time I do this tree, every time I tell a truth about myself, just state the data, account for, that's why we call it accountability, to account for what's going on with me right now without blame or judgment. I have that little feeling of liberation, that little feeling of I'm okay, that I never had before. And what I've discovered is doing this week after week, day after day, year after year.
Yeah.
I've gotten to the point where, as you were saying about yourself, when I wake up in the morning, I wake up into a world of joy, peace, freedom, community, and health. That's the life I've chosen to create.
Yes.
I woke up this morning in the middle of the night. I woke up at like 2 o'clock and I couldn't go back to sleep. And in the old days, I would worry and I would have thoughts about horrible things happening, and my heart rate would go up, my adrenaline would be going like nuts. And my experience this morning was I just woke up. I just lay there until I went back to sleep.
Yeah.
And I just sat. I was laying there going, I'm so grateful for this work that I can wake up in the middle of the night and just wake up.
Yeah.
And nothing else. And give myself permission to wake up and set an intention to fall back to sleep. And when I fell back to sleep, I fell back to sleep.
Yeah. What a difference. And that's, we're looking in the results column, we're looking for different, better. At first, mine wasn't better. It was more awareness of more things to bring to the tree.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, I got a litany of things. Hold on, it's going to take me 10 years to write the damn thing down, let alone take it to the tree. Nice deep breath, nice deep breath. And this is what I'm going to do. If I had a number of how many times I've done this practice of accountability, it would be an astrological number.
Right.
Yeah, huge number.
Well, and then what comes to serve us here, particularly for those that are involved in any 12-step program, AA, Adult Children of Alcoholics, NA, DA, Debtors Anonymous, is that the insight that we do this one day at a time.
Yeah.
That we're not, all I have is this moment.
All right.
And so if I can just be present, no, not if, when I'm just present with myself in this moment, that's enough.
It's enough.
I don't have to solve tomorrow's problems. I'll do that tomorrow.
One of the things I've discovered in this journey is that I do what I'm capable of doing in the moment, whether it's right, wrong, good,
right.
Halfway, to build the foundation to do it in those really, really difficult moments where, I don't want to do it. No. And the blessing or the grace is that what I discovered first becomes broader, deeper, and wider of things I didn't know possible. It's like, oh my God, I've done this 40 times already. Oh my God. There's another breakthrough. Yeah. So.
Well, the brilliance of the process is that whether you understood this when you started this or not, doesn't matter. The brilliance of the process is that the accountability tree itself, the work that we do. Hi, I'm Marty. I'm cruel to the point of, or mean to the point of cruelty.
Yeah.
Take the breath. What do I want? I intend to be kind. I intend to be compassionate, whatever. That's actually an activity of reprogramming that subconscious.
Yep. Yes.
That as we do that, every time we do that, we're shifting the balance in that subconscious just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point in time, and my experience is, I don't know when that was, but I knew it was, the subconscious is now reflecting this new set of intentions that I've set for myself.
Yes.
And that starts to become my default position
Yes.
rather than the old way of I'm screwed, I hate myself, I hate you, that old energy. And then
Mhm.
from that point forward, now that that's my new default position, that serves me every time I run into a problem, anytime an old trigger shows up, because they're still there.
Right.
They just don't have the power that they used to.
In fact, when I find myself in a spontaneous, resentful behavior, I go, excuse me, I got one, I got one. I'm gonna like that asshole driving down the road. There it is. Next thing you I intend to drive
Right.
defensively. I intend to be gracious on the road. I intend to be gracious,
And
and I
that's
find myself gracious.
and that's a concrete example of how this work creates results.
Yes.
We started out last week saying we want to talk about why we're in this program. And we're in this program because we want to create results for our lives. Yes, at our advanced age, I'm 73. You're just a little bit older than me.
A little bit.
That we, but as long as I'm alive, I want the results today
Yeah.
of a world of joy, peace, freedom, community, and health.
Mm-hmm.
And with your support and the higher power and whoever it was that you got the inspiration to create this process, that's the world I have. And that's the world any of us watching this can have. And as we come to the end of our time together, I invite anybody that would like to have this for yourself to join us in one of our group meetings. These meetings are facilitated. John facilitates a meeting, I facilitate one, and several of our colleagues facilitate others. There are 4 meetings a week. They're all on Zoom, and information on how you can join us and what time they are and so forth will be at the end of this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So we invite you, if you'd like to have the results for you that your heart desires to have, and you find yourself stuck, unable to make that happen, come and join us in one of our group meetings and work the accountability tree with us and see if you can't end up in a place where you have results that you never dreamed possible for yourself.
Yeah. As you were saying that, I didn't do this alone. I had help on the way with 12-step meetings, whatever the anonymous meeting I went to, and I went to many. I was supported. I was in a room full of people who, when I spoke of character defect like alcoholism, blame-free, judgment-free. So this is a process that I've learned to give to myself, and that I want to give this information to as many people as possible again, so that they can take this out on the street with them, into the kitchen, into the living room, on the freeway, and find some peace. What Christ called us to, a peace beyond all understanding. And I was just driving with my daughter today, and she goes, "Dad, how do you do this traffic thing?" And I said, "I do it with grace. It's like there's something I'm supposed to be looking at. If the traffic's slow, there's something I'm missing here. So I get a chance to look around. So I don't know. Something for me in it though. So yeah."
Exactly. Well, as always, John, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. And again, everybody who's watching us, thank you for joining us. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Help us build the viewership so we can spread this message as far as we can, as quick as amount of time as possible.
Yes.
And with that, we'll see you next time.
You got it. You got it, Marty.
Thanks, John.
Mm-hmm.
Love you too.